This is Duke University.
Hello, my name is Nate Smith. I'm currently a partner with Maple Health Group, a boutique healthcare consultancy headquartered in New York. My relationship to Duke is I went there for undergrad. I was a graduate of Pratt in 2007, joint biomedical and electrical engineering degree. I did go on to get my PhD subsequently from Yale in neuroscience before I moved into consulting. And some of those skills sort of combined across the two schools actually help support me in what I do today. So I'm very happy to be able to provide my perspective to the Duke Career Services about a career in consulting. For me, as I was finishing my PhD, I knew I did not want to pursue an academic track career. And so I wanted to work in a setting where I could develop a lot of different types of skills while leveraging some of my scientific background. And that happened to be the sort of niche type of consulting I do for pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies, helping prove the value of their products for reimbursement and pricing negotiations globally. And so that's what really drew me to it, even more than the more sort of traditional management consulting type of consulting that I think a lot of people are more interested in coming right out of school. My day-to-day is a little bit different, and to be fair, it's also different now as sort of a partner within the firm, but I would describe more generally what we do as providing more scientific type consulting that helps impact the commercial trajectory of our clients' products. And so we're working, within the typical Microsoft suite of different elements to review different data sets to evaluate, what can be put together to support the strongest arguments that we can make to reimbursement authorities globally. So this involves a lot of review of scientific data, both reviewing what's been published and really critically assessing it to understand, what are the strengths and weaknesses of data sets that will ultimately be used to critique our clients' products. We also do a lot of analyses on behalf of our clients, so using their clinical trial data to understand sort of some nuances that can go into additional analyses that will underpin the reimbursement submissions. We build these economic analyses to help demonstrate the value of products that are required for a number of reimbursement agencies. We actually, this requires a lot of the skills I developed as an engineer, as well as the skills I developed as a scientist in my PhD, to be able to read papers, to put together analyses, to be able to write them up and communicate the findings in a way that's really clear and understandable while being scientifically accurate. I started at the analyst level at a small boutique firm right out of my PhD. I took a little bit of a non-traditional path, to be quite honest, where I initially rose within the ranks of that organization, but due to various reasons, there wasn't sort of a path within what I was doing at the firm. So a recruiter had reached out to me, and I moved into biotech sell-side finance for about 2 years. Meanwhile, my former manager at the boutique consultancy had started her own firm. In fact, wanted me to start with her at the time, but it didn't make sense. But eventually, I realized that consulting was a better fit for me, and went back to join her as the second member on the team. Eventually, I had a path to partnership, and now I'm one of the three partners, and the firm is about 35 people. So, it was a traditional transition from doing the work to managing the work. I wound up speaking to a number of different people who do this type of work, and that sort of interested me more than the traditional consulting route. So, really, networking was a really critical start to, my future career and current career and what I do. Because otherwise you don't really develop those skills specifically as part of your PhD or engineering degree. It's really trying to understand how to transition those skills into sort of the day-to-day work that I do now. What I like the most is that I get to leverage both my scientific and engineering backgrounds as a part of what I do. I get to think critically about projects, even though, I do more on the strategic side now rather than the execution side, being more of a manager within the company. The most challenging part of our work is ultimately our clients. I would be honest, because sometimes what the right approach is, and you have to really guide your clients to understand that. And sometimes, even when you explain it as clearly as you can, they want to take a different path, and so then you have to work within that path to do something that is still as robust as possible, despite not being what you would have recommended, because ultimately we're a vendor, and so we have to go with what our clients decide to do, even if it's not what we guide them to do on a day-to-day basis. I certainly think it is extremely valuable, both in the sense of it can help you understand what you want to do. It's really important to understand, the career path you are considering, get that perspective. But then once you also approach the job market itself, it's good to remember that they're not only interviewing you, but you are interviewing them. So it's helpful to speak to people at different firms to really understand whether it's going to be a good fit for you, to understand the culture, their projects, where do people wind up after they've been with the firm for a few years. It's important you understand all of that as well. So networking is extremely helpful, both in shaping some of your initial interests to help you understand where you want to go. And then it's a continuous process to, help ensure that you have a lot of possibilities available to you longer term. So I highly encourage everyone to always use alumni networks, and to attend events once you actually do make the transition over to your professional career. So uh, I appreciate having the opportunity to speak for the Career Center, and am always happy to be a resource to anyone who is interested in pursuing a little bit of a non-traditional boutique type of consulting career. Thank you.